Good afternoon, and welcome to a very special episode of Take It or Leave It, Dr. Barbara Tabor Speaks. In this election year edition, we're diving deep into the heart of political issues and current events with a very unique focus. And Dr. Tabor has her work cut out for her today. There's a lot to cover and a lot to unpack. Fortunately, we have her on the line with us here today, ready to sink her teeth into today's content. So let us welcome the lady of the hour. Hello, Dr. Tabor. How are you today?
Hey, Scott. I'm doing just great.
That's great to hear. Well, this is going to be a very interesting episode. They all are. But this one has a unique twist and a very interesting lineup of questions here. We're going to launch right into them without further ado. President Biden has enacted several significant policies since taking office. What specific accomplishments, Dr. Tabor, do you believe define Biden's success as president?
Well, first, as of April 10th of this year, President Biden has signed 137 executive orders, 171 memoranda, 582 proclamations, and 120 notices, issued on average 42 executive orders per year in office, and is tied with George H.W. Bush for the third lowest average among the 7 presidents who have held office since 1981.
Wow. That's
a lot.
Yeah, that is.
But he's done so much, and he has gotten through Congress a considerable number of very important bills. That was until the midterm elections, when the Democrats managed to give away the House of Representatives to the lunatic fringe, better known as the Chaos Caucus.
Biden has emphasized the importance of bipartisanship in his approach to governance. How effective has he been in working with both parties to advance his agenda?
When the Democrats were in control of both the House and Senate, even though it was just by a slight margin, they were able to work with quite a few of the centrist Republicans and pass an infrastructure bill that was just absolutely phenomenal, and several other bipartisan measures. However, when the House flipped, Congress has become better known as a do-nothing Congress. They literally will not do anything unless they get their marching orders from he who must not be named. When they get a bill that was passed in the Senate or formed in the Senate, was put together by the far-right Republican members of the Senate, the House wouldn't even touch it. After the midterm elections, bipartisanship fell apart because the far-right lunatic fringe has taken over and literally controls the fate of the Speaker of the House. And in fact, they got rid of one Speaker of the House, and when there is no Speaker of the House, no work for the people can be done.
Right.
At present, they have 2 people ready to pull the plug on the current Speaker of the House, and one of those being Marjorie Taylor Greene, who is one of the leaders of the Chaos Caucus.
Yeah.
So she's ready to pull the plug on Mike Johnson, and she's got a second congressman willing to sign onto that. She just needs one more, and that's it. We'll be back to having nothing done in the House because they will have no speaker. That's just a sad state of affairs.
Immigration reform has been a contentious issue during Biden's tenure. How do you evaluate his administration's approach to immigration policy and border security?
I feel like the Biden administration was dragging their feet on immigration. I don't think they knew exactly which way to go. But once they did a bipartisan negotiation on immigration, because they really didn't want to give the Republicans everything they wanted on that bill. They negotiated it, and basically Senator Langford hammered out a bipartisan bill that basically gave the Republicans about 90% of what they wanted. And it included things like money, equipment, more manpower to address the influx of undocumented persons, money and equipment to address drugs and weapons that were coming across the border. But it also included aid for Israel, Ukraine, and Taiwan, which apparently was Israel's okay, Taiwan not so much, and definitely not Ukraine. The Republicans, just for some reason, have felt like we need to just bail on our ally in Ukraine. They want to give money to Israel. The fact is that bill fell victim to the do-nothing House. And then they turned around and tried to impeach the Secretary of Homeland Security for not doing anything about the border. That is circumlocucious thought process. You didn't do anything about the bill. You have a bill. You didn't do anything about the border. You have a bill. And now we're not going to vote for that bill, but we're going to impeach you because you did nothing about the border. Well, who did nothing about the border? It was not Secretary Mayorkas.
Now, Biden has proposed ambitious infrastructure and social spending plans. How do you view the prospects for these proposals in Congress, and what impact would their passage have on the country?
He did manage to get quite a bit done before the Do-Nothing Congress, and I cannot stress that enough. The Congress today will do nothing that will further President Biden and his administration's goals. They are not for the people, of the people, or by the people. They are in support of he who must not be named. Biggest bills that the president got through and signed were the infrastructure bill that provided all sorts of unique things, and the ability of Medicare, Medicaid to negotiate drug prices. And it's a shame to say that that's the two biggest bills that have passed before the Do-Nothing got in there. I mean, we even in the Senate, we went for months and months and months tying up the military. It was pretty bad. I found it very heartening that Mr. Biden was willing to go and stand in a picket line with union workers in support of pay raises, much needed pay raises. So he's done a lot, but there's a lot more to be done, and unfortunately it's not going to happen as long as the chaos caucus has hold of the House.
Biden has nominated a diverse range of candidates for federal positions, including the judiciary. How do you view his efforts to diversify the government, and what impact do you anticipate these appointments will have?
First off, I think it's about time, because having a diverse culture within the federal government and the courts brings a plethora of differing views and opinions. If it's only old, fat white men making the point of view, then that's the only point of view you're going to have. I mean, this country is a great melting pot of cultures. However, our government and the courts and enterprise at large doesn't reflect the true colors of America.
In what ways has President Biden worked to improve healthcare access and affordability? And what progress has been made in this area?
Well, I know he's got a long road to hoe on that. Mostly what he has done has been for Medicare, but he also expanded the Affordable Care Act, the American Rescue Plan, and the Inflation Reduction Act, basically to lower drug costs for many Americans and also to allow more lower income people to be able to afford insurance, health insurance of some kind. With Medicare and Medicaid, he helped the seniors, and of course, all of us seniors basically are living on fixed incomes unless you're part of the 1% or you're still working in your 70s. So he managed to get drug companies to agree to cap 10 specific medications that seniors take and that cost them an arm and a leg every month. And he got those brought down to $35 a month or less. He's allowed Medicare to be able to negotiate drug prices for 50 other drugs and put a cap on what you spend out of pocket for prescription drugs. He capped the Medicare cost share at $2 for common generic drugs. He has made access to cell and gene therapies easier. And also, and this is one I did not know and realize, is that there is now a requirement that drug companies pay rebates when they increase prices faster than inflation. Yes, see, I did not know about that one.
Never heard that before.
He's also working on keeping the premiums low and keeping children covered under their parents' insurance, making home health care more readily available. One of the things that is a problem for the elderly is you can't get in-home health care.
Right.
Except under very finite requirements. Say, for instance, when I was taking care of my mother, I was not getting any kind of compensation for spending weeks and days at my mother's and not at my job. That is one of the things he's working on, is keeping the elderly in their homes, making sure that the people who are providing it are not squeezing every penny out of the elderly, and also making it so that family members can get compensated for that. They also crack down on junk insurance. Basically, you pay into it and it covers next to nothing. Mm-hmm. There are certain things that they have to cover. And they also crack down on surprise bills and fees, those hidden things like an aspirin costing $10 in the hospital. Yeah, right. No, I don't think so. 5 bottles of aspirin for that.
Yeah.
So I think he's done quite a lot to open up the healthcare improvements and access for all the rest of us.
Now, to shift gears a little bit, do you think Biden's State of the Union address was effective in putting to bed the dementia and low energy concerns that voters and press have had?
The State of the Union. I loved the State of the Union. I watched the entire thing from beginning to end. Mr. Biden was in his element. He had a script. Everybody has scripts. I've got a script because there are points I don't want to get wrong.
Right, exactly.
And while I'm not as old as either he who must not be named and Joe Biden, I still have times when I know what I want to say and it might not come out. But I'm far from addle-pated and ready to be put out to pasture.
Yeah.
Joe Biden was in his element. While he had a script, he wasn't reading his script. He was like a kid in a candy store. He even gave Marjorie Taylor Greene a hard time.
That's right, he did.
He wasn't shy about pointing out flaws of the House of Representatives and the plans that they had to thwart every single bill that he had been trying to get up. He knew exactly what was going on. He didn't mind pointing it out, especially when it came to Ukraine, drug costs, the border bill. He did slur a few words, but not many, and most of them are words that he would have stuttered on to begin with. He suffered with stuttering since he was a child, so I think he handled it very well. He laid out his plans for the future, keeping the Senate blue, getting the House under control and back to blue, and keeping the White House blue. State of the Union was primo.